Okay, so welcome to the next part of BBMA, which is multi-time frame analysis. Now, this is not really, that advanced if you, get the basics of it. So, for example, you want to trade the 4 hour as first time frame. Then you basically, right here, in the middle of the screen, you see a momentum, a CSM. Closure above the top Bollinger Band and moving averages. And then what we see next is here between the low moving averages is a retest, also called re-entry. And basically there are in BBMA 3 main time frames if you want to take an entry, the classic way, which is, any time frame you want, except maybe the 1 minute. But the way you trade it is like first time frame you see a signal like momentum, CSAK, CSA, and a retest at the moving average low. Then on the second time frame, which is in this case the 1 hour, we need an extreme. So what is an extreme? Well, it's basically, a sign that price has gone to one side very far and it can reverse at that point. So it's not a guarantee, but it is a possibility. Now, what are the extremes? There are a couple of them. In BBMA, first type of extreme is actually the moving average closest to the Bollinger Bands moving out of the Bollinger Bands. But that's what I meant with it's a signal, it's an early sign and not a guarantee, because it already starts moving out of the Bollinger Band here and all the way down below here it reversed. So it's not like a very strong, sign that price will reverse. It's just, okay, price could reverse from one of these, areas. But at the same time, with every momentum also comes, an extreme. So that's a little bit tricky that you have to get the right side, because, you might think, oh, this is an extreme, so I have to be careful, it might reverse. No, it can actually also just keep going on an extreme. But yeah, first type, extreme A, I'm gonna write it down. Very nice A is the moving average coming out of the Bollinger Band. Now the second type is the one we see here, is a rejection of the outer Bollinger Band. So in this case the low Bollinger Band, because we want to take a buy entry. That one is called extreme B. Okay. Now in my opinion this is not like a very strong signal, or extreme I should say, and it really depends on the situation and the shape of the Bollinger Bands and the other conformations as well, because in some cases it might reject and just not, like, I don't know, reverse. So where was I? Yeah, the extreme which happened here. Like for now those are the two extremes which happen most, except for maybe the other extreme and the other part of BBMA, which I'm gonna explain later. But for now these two extremes are, the most common ones. Now, what happened? Like, this is the second time frame, okay? Here we had the momentum move on the 4 hour and also on the 1 hour in this case. And then in this area, it's the lower moving averages on the 4 hour. So in this area we should look for buys on the 1 hour or 15 minutes, because there's 3 time frames. So you go 1 time frame lower again, and it's not actually the 30 minutes, because in BBMA it's not really used much, I think. At least the classic BBMA. So yeah, we got an extreme here. And then let me just go to the 15-minute time frame, because that's the third one. And yeah, basically the most common way to trade is, on the third time frame looking for an MHV, market losing volume or momentum, which is in this case, wait, let me find a different one. Got like the final momentum move, then the move to the upper moving average, move to the lower moving average right here, and from there it moved up again to the moving average, the higher one, without closing below the lower one. So there's no more momentum and it moves up. At the same time, that's about here, this bullish candle here, it has curved upwards. Okay, so this is again market losing momentum. So since this is the third time frame, you could think, okay, I take my entry at, for example, this bullish candle or this one, somewhere here. Stop loss usually goes below the low Bollinger Band, below the losing momentum, because that point is the hardest to break for price right now. And yeah, you get a move upwards. So that's one way to trade it. And the nice part is, even if you miss that part, this entry right here, you can also just, for example, take another re-entry. Like, for example, this one, this is a momentum one. And even you could take like this CSA re-entry right here, because it's in line with the 4 hour re-entry. So that's how to basically trade 3 time frames. I'm gonna go back to the 1 hour second time frame again and write it down real quick. Time frame 1, in this case 4 hour. Time frame 2, 1 hour. Time frame 3, 15 minutes. Now in this case, like, it's a 4 hour re-entry, so we use the 4 hour. Doesn't always have to be the 4 hour. Can also be, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. But yeah, usually it's 3 time frames. And of course you can use the other time frames as well, especially the higher ones, for a main direction. So you go with the high time frame trend. And you can technically even go to lower time frames, but it's not, the smartest thing to do if you look for reversals, except for, if you use a tested system by yourself, which you know really well that it works. So yeah, those are the time frames in BBMA. 3 time frames. And the extremes, of course. Extreme A, moving average out of the low Bollinger Band. Extreme B, rejection of the outer Bollinger Band. In this case, the lower one. And I'm gonna get back to different extremes later on, might not even be needed.